Hi everyone, welcome back to another video on Eleanor's restoration. It's been a bit of time before I done my last video. In this one you're going to see me fitting the scuttle panel. Now this is fitted over a period of time and it crosses over some of my previous videos of painting the engine bay and fixing the door hinges. So this is me just starting off removing the panels after the test fit. Before I removed the scuttle, I knew it was a good fit from the test fit, so what I'm doing here is marking off the A-posts where I need to cut that up to get a good fit on the scuttle. Happy with that, that's tight enough there to give me a good bit to seal on the pen. Now I'm going to cut this once I've taken this off. I could take my time just do it just now, but I think if I'd done it while it was on it would just leave too big a gap. Whereas this way I cut just below this line, and if need be I can slightly grind some off rather than having too wide up here and having to fill it in. These closing panels sit underneath here and stop any dirt going up and basically rotting underneath here. So these are heritage as well. Basically you've got two edges, one, two that go against the wheel arch, and then this one sits underneath here, and it should be quite a good fit because, like I say, they're heritage. So when they're clamped closer, the plan is to get this area here spot welded. The bit at the back, because I can't quite get in with the spot welder, what I'm going to do is drill holes along here, about every inch, so probably 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 holes, all 8mm. That way when it's held in place they can be plug weld through. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that just now. I'll drill the holes in this first because once it's in here I can then mark on here where I need to remove the paint, so I'm just removing as little paint as I can. Now that I've got the holes punched, I know where they're going to sit on here, so I just need to get it lined up right. Actually sits really nice this side. It's never going to line up fully on here, it just has to cover it, and it has to be basically enough so you can get a spot weld on it. Some will line up better than others. This one isn't too bad. This is the bit you need to take your time with and make sure it's all lined up, because the easy bit is spot welding it together. This is the bit that takes the time, because I want to take off as least paint as possible here just to give it more protection underneath, and I need to know where it's going to sit. Now this is just a closing panel, it doesn't have to be pretty, it just has to be in place and sealed to stop anything getting in. So it's hidden away from everything, but if you follow my restoration, you'll know that even the hidden away stuff I want to be nice. Quite happy with that. It's sitting quite nice all the way around, and it's sitting good against the inner wing as well, so I'm happy with this side. The other side, not so much. It's not fitting as well. I'll take you around and show you. First initial fit, so it's against the inner wing. It fits nice round here, but when it gets to here, you can see it tapers off out here to the point where you're not getting a spot weld between these two surfaces. So this has to be at least, I would say, between 5 and 10 mil back that way. I'll have a play about with it, and I'll come back when I'm happy with where it's going to sit. There's no point in me putting it in roughly and marking it, because I want the markment to be where its final positioning is. Fiddled and got slightly better, not as good as the other side. There should be enough to get spot welds on it, but there's still a good bit out here compared to what it is on the other side. The problem is, it's as far back as it'll go against the inner wing, so it's tight all the way around, so it's going to get a good seal. The only bit that was really not fitting great was in here. I tried manipulating the metal, but without misshapen the scuttle or anything else, I was going to start having fitment issues. I don't want to obviously bend this lip here because it needs to sit on the outer wing. So if I can get this at least spot welded and sealed, all this is going to sit under the inner wing, and it's not going to matter. The problem may be if I can't get a spot weld on because there's not enough underneath here, but I'm going to go with it as it is, and I'll tackle that when I come to it later on once it's all welded in. I'm happy with the fitment I've got underneath to get it marked now, so I can get that marked, and then I can get the whole scuttle off, and I can start getting the metalwork prepped and painted, ready for welding in its final resting place. Back to this stage again. So as you'll see, the scuttle's off. I've got everything I need marked, so I've got the marks up here, marks here, around here. I just really need now to take my time, go around and basically remove all the bits of paint that's going to be spot welded or plug welded. And again, I'm focusing on the scuttle, but I'm also focusing on what comes next. So if I was to just come, remove this, remove these, and weld this on, there's going to be areas underneath here and all along here that's going to be pretty awkward to access once it's on. So I really need to do all the prep just now. So what I need to do is get all of the bits I don't want painted masked up, which is quite a lot down here, up here. I need to get the paint off where I'm wanting to spot weld and get some weld through primer on, and I need to get all this primed and painted so it's all good once it's on. Now that's all time consuming, and it takes time between stages for paint to dry, prepping, rubbing down, paint, all that. And I'm not going to cover all that on camera. I'm basically going to do what I've done previously with Ed. I'll just dip in and out for progress reports until I get back to the stage where the scuttle's going to be ready to go back on. So between dipping in and out and a few time lapses, I'm going to shut up now and just let you kind of watch what I'm doing. taking some paint off. Still need to do a bit more, just thought I would show you on here. So basically this is the right hand side of the car. This is going to be fixed on here. Obviously when the scuttle's on, it covers here, so you can't get into here, so I need to make sure that basically all of this area is well protected from the elements. So the bits I can't get to once it's welded in is going to be here. So this part here, I just need to take more off here, get this covered in weld through primer. The only other bit I need to put weld through primer on is this side here, because once that's on, I'm not going to get to it again. Whereas once it's on, I can still get to the underside here, and I can still get to this part here, so I can paint that once it's welded in. The way I'm planning to do this, I'm going to get the primer on, get it clamped in place, I'll get the scuttle on and fitted. Once that's done, I intend to get the closing panels in place first, remove the scuttle, and then I can come and do the preparation with paint inside here. So yeah, the bits I really need to do with the weld through primer I'll do just now. Okay, so weld through primer on the rear of the flange here that goes on to the inner wing. And also on this section here, that's basically going to be welded onto the scuttle, spot welded. So yeah, I'll let that dry for a bit. I can now turn my attention to some prep on the actual scuttle panel itself. Right, the scuttle obviously needs paint taken off. It'll be welded, spot welded here. The front along here is fine. It'll be spot welded up here. It'll be spot welded all the way along here. So I obviously need to remove paint on both sides. On the side that's going to be covered, and I won't get to, I'm going to have to, as usual, put the weld through primer on. Under here, under here, under here. So basically the underside. But I also need to paint underneath here in primer and paint, so that when it's on I don't have to fight for access to get to it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with removing the paint and putting the zinc primer on first. Then that way I'll let it dry, mask it up, get everything else rubbed down, and I can then get primer paint. It's going to take a bit of time. As you can see, the scuttle is clamped in place. Reasonably happy with what it is. Still need to do work to the underside, but this is not getting fixed on yet. The point of getting this clamped here is so I can get the closing panels in. And the thing I'm going to do first is get it clamped in place. Once it's clamped in place, I'm going to do some spot welds along here, so this is fixed on. Same with the other side. Once it's fixed on, I can get this off and I can get all the prep done in this area and this area here. So I have quite a few clamps holding it in place. I'm quite happy with the flanges here. However, I'm going to see if I can get in with a bodywork hammer and just tap them where they're going to be welded a bit flatter. Just enough to get me a good weld. I can obviously adjust it once this is off, but this is its final resting place, so I want this to be as flat as I can. Obviously where the clamps are, they're really tight. It's just like areas like here where I can't get in with a clamp. And a comparison on the other side. Good lines all the way around. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. Time to get this shaped and start getting some welds in. Okay, it's been a few months since I've done anything to Eleanor, and I've lost a bit of footage since I've done it. So jumping forward from what you last seen, I'm now on to pretty much been ready to put the scuttle on. The closing panels here and on the other side have been finished. I've basically plug welded along the bottom here, done a few tack welds along here just for extra strength. I've given it a layer of sealer, seam sealer on here and the bottom. I have acid etched the bare metal, I've epoxy primered the rest and 2 coats of paint, so it's good. I'm quite happy that there's no untreated metal, it's solid and ready to go on. I'll go over with a small camera and give you a look at both this and the scuttle which is behind you, and I'll take you to the scuttle just now. Likewise with the scuttle, I've not done anything to this side because that can be painted when it's on the car. These are the bits that are hard to get to once it's fitted on the car. So it's masked off. I've painted the whole underside. The bits that will not be getting hit with the spot welder are zinc primed. What have I put on here? Again, I used acid etch for the bare metal. I then used some epoxy. I used a stone chip, a few coats of that to give it a slight rubberized feel, and then a few coats of top coat. And yeah, happy good to go. I'm just now going to get this fitted back onto Eleanor. Hopefully it's going to fit as it came off, and get it clamped in place. And once I've got it clamped in place, it's just a case of getting the spot welder on the areas here to the closing panel, the top onto along the dash rail, and obviously joining the panels up by seam welding. So I'll let the camera roll and hopefully it's going to go to plan. Actually went back really well, really pleased with the fit. There's always a doubt, even though you take your time and prepare, there's always that doubt. So yeah, in case I get round with the spot welder now. Now I know from previous experience the vents that come up here can sometimes be awkward for the spot welder, so I'll see how I get round negotiating around them. And I'll also find out how many bits I've forgot to take paint off, because the spot welder will not weld if there's a bit of paint or if it's not a close fit. So yeah, I'll seam weld along the A-post here, spot weld down here, spot weld the closing panels, and then spot weld all along the top. And that should be it. Okay, I've done all the bits I want to do with the spot welder, a few bits to tidy up, but yeah, with the MIG welder I'm going to seam weld along here for the A-post, and seam slash tack weld along here onto the inner, both sides. Okay, I've been and tidied it all up. I've taken away any rough edges, any burrs, because if there's anything here and the window seal doesn't get a good seal, it'll let water in and the water will sit and it'll just draw it out. So apart from a repair up here on the A-post, because I was just chasing holes, I need to let that cool down. I'll have to do a separate repair on that. What I'm going to do at the moment though is just cover this up, and I'm going to get this in some acid etch primer because I don't want it sitting any length of time in bare metal. It just keeps it and stops it getting any surface rust. Scuttle's in place. I have seam sealed along the top here and on the joins where the closing panel meets, and I've given a couple of coats of etch primer, and that's the stage I'm at. There's going to be final prep when I come to the paintwork stage in the not too distant future, but in terms of the scuttle, that's it finished for this one. Moving forward, I'll be looking at the front end next. That's where I'm going to head, and that'll be coming soon. So, in terms of the scuttle, I'm going to end that one there, and I'll say thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers!